This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit, Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
It's the Sicilian Powerhouse, Vito Fratelli. And you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. If you got a problem with it, forget about it, huh?
Hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for entertaining all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Trail Fun. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with, he is the Sicilian Powerhouse, Vito Fratelli.
That's right. The Sicilian Powerhouse in the house, Vito Fratelli. And if you got a problem with it, forget about it.
And where is the Sicilian Powerhouse coming up next?
You can catch me next. You know what? I got this big thing going with the West Coast Wrestling Company. And they're doing a show this Saturday, August 26th in Hemet, California. And I'm not a part of it. I'm not booked, but I got a bone to pick with the owner, Adam Ginsberg. So you can guarantee I'm not buying a ticket, but I'm showing up and I'm going to be there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he suspended you, right?
That's correct. They suspended me a couple months ago after I lost the wild card title. You know, they were talking about the next show, talking about the wild card championship, and they didn't even mention me. I came out to the ring. You know, I talked my crap to the manager at the time, Benjamin Thomas. I got in Adam Ginsberg's face. He tried to get in my face, and I beat him up. I left him laying in that ring, and because of that, they suspended me.
And, you know, suspending you and not even giving you your rightful title rematch, it just seems like this was somewhat premeditated, no?
Right, like they have something out for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, this time I'm showing up at the show and it's on my terms. Like I said, I'm not supposed to be there. You know, I made some noise and I'm saying I'm going to show up, but they don't know what for. And I'm doing things my way this time. I'm showing up, I'm making my statement, and there's nobody there that's going to stop me.
Well, hopefully that will lead to a sixth title in your collection.
Yes, definitely.
And where can we find all things Vito on social media and your merchandise?
On Instagram at Real Vito Fratelli, Facebook Vito Fratelli, and then I have a Pro Wrestling Tees page, Vito Fratelli.
And you don't even have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, let's get into it. You work for Dream Slam and BWE, or you are currently not suspended. Can you tell us?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Definitely. So, Dream Slam Wrestling, it's a newer company. They've been around about like a little over a year now, maybe a year and a half. I became their heavyweight champion, or their main champion, the Dream Slam Wrestling champion. I believe it was last August, so it's been a full year.
Congratulations.
So I've been doing that there. They got a show coming up in September. Let me see. I believe it's a Friday. I believe it's September 16th. No, actually, it's September 22nd. Friday, September 22nd in Santa Ana. Dream Slam's going to be having their next show.
Okay.
And then VWE, Venue Wrestling Entertainment. It's a show based out of Orange County, as company based out of Orange County as well, and they also do shows in like the Imperial Valley area. So with VWE, I'm currently one half of the tag team champions with Angel Vega. We're called La Familia, and then I'm also their heavyweight champion. And that heavyweight title is something that's pretty new. Their last show that they had, Venue Mania 8, I faced the Samoan, the 400-pound, like 6'5" monster Juicy Finau.
And Juicy is definitely, when you say monster, you're not exaggerating.
Not in any way, shape, or form. And it's crazy, JJ, because check this out. I'm usually the bigger guy in my matches. I'm a big dude. I might not be like super tall, but I'm big, I'm thick, I'm strong. I'm usually the bigger out of everybody that I wrestle. But every once in a while, I get put in there with one of these monsters like Juicy. He outweighed me by like 150 pounds and like almost a foot taller than me. Literally a monster compared to me, which is crazy because I'm never usually the smaller guy in my match.
Well, you were able to lift him and powerbomb him through a few chairs.
Yeah, you saw that at the end.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how I took him out. I powerbombed him through like 6 chairs. He was on the second rope. I came up from underneath and boom. I saw my opportunity and I took it, and that's when I became VWE Heavyweight Champion.
When you're wrestling somebody that size, is it, and you have to lift them, is it like, okay, I know I can do this, or I have to take this risk and wonder if I actually can?
You know what? It's crazy because I go to the gym regularly and I lift heavy. I'm like a heavy bench press guy. So I'm pretty confident in my strength. But body weight and dead weight on the bench press are like 2 completely different things.
Oh, yeah.
Although I might be able to bench 425 pounds and he probably weighs about 450, grabbing the body weight, using momentum, using all your muscles in your body and being able to lift him and then slam him down are 2 completely different things. So although I'm confident in my strength, it is definitely one of those moments like I have to do this.
Now, you mentioned it. You're the current Dream Slam Heavyweight Champion, WWC Heavyweight Champion, VWE Heavyweight Champion, VWE Tag Team Champion, Dream Slam Tag Team Champion, and Lucha Libre. I don't exactly know how to pronounce this last word, but you're a Lucha Libre champion as well. Yes, I feel
Also,
Spanish.
yeah.
Oh,
Lucha Libre, Independiente, basically just means independent in English, the translation.
thank you.
And then also, last June, I did a World Cup or World Championship tournament. It was held in Mexico City through the IWRG. They're a company that's been around about 60 years.
Yes.
In Arena Naucalpan, which is like a legendary arena in Mexico. One of the first arenas, one of the places that's always been a Lucha Libre arena since its beginning. I did a World Cup, a World Tournament out there, and it was a 2-day gig. And I ended up winning that. So I'm the current IWRG World Lucha Libre Champion for 2023.
And I believe that was you're the first as well to win that championship.
It was actually their first time doing it this year.
Yeah, the inaugural.
Yeah, so yeah, I became the inaugural. I think next year they're going to do it actually in Los Angeles,
Interesting.
which is pretty exciting. Yeah, but it was cool. It was a true world tournament. I mean, there was people from Puerto Rico, Canada, the UK, Japan, Mexico, US, Italy, like everywhere. There was literally people, Spain, everywhere around the world. So it was pretty exciting, to get in there and, get familiar with somebody else's style, somebody else's, way of doing things and working with people, you never even heard of before. It was cool. It was a great opportunity, a great experience. And man, I busted my butt and I got through that thing and ended up winning it all, which was pretty amazing for me because I made history in like such a legendary place that's full of history. And now I'm a part of that.
I mean, what did it mean to you to be the first to ever do it, actually win that championship, and do it in such a historic venue?
Honestly, it took me a while to comprehend it, like believe it, like wow, this actually happened. Like I'm stepping foot in this place that everybody who's ever wrestled lucha libre, every legend, every superstar that's come through, like they've all been there. They've all worked that arena, and they still work that arena. And it was just crazy to be part of that, and something that has like much history, like rich history. And Arena Naucalpan, like they do shows every Thursday and Sunday, no matter what. Like that's all they do, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild to be so consistent in something. Um, I can only imagine.
Now, you mentioned, it took you a little while to comprehend it, but like when you were actually in the ring getting awarded the trophy, were you able to take in that moment?
Uh, I definitely I felt it. I felt the moment. I was proud of what I accomplished. I was happy that I made it through the whole thing, and I had my time. I had my time to take in that moment, and like it was crazy. Like the the following days and the week after, like just getting so much messages from peers and from people that I look up to, and from different wrestlers throughout the world, like just giving me my props, congratulating me, and I was amazed. I was just like this is crazy. This is crazy that this happened, and I was just thankful for the opportunity. Just to be there was enough for me. But winning it and taking it all home, like it was such a great moment.
Competing in Mexico, um, is there a difference between competing in Mexico opposed to America?
Absolutely. Like American pro wrestling and lucha libre, they are there's so many differences in the style and the way things are done, and the pace and the moves and everything. Like everything's so different, and like a great crowd in like Mexico City. These fans, these people are so passionate about lucha libre. If you're a good guy, they love you. If you're a good guy, they hate you. If you're really good at it, they hate you. And like the heat you can get down there is like second to none. And people like they're throwing things at you and cursing at you and trying to jump over the guardrail to fight you, like if you piss them off enough. And it's amazing. Lucha Libre is so much more part of their culture. You versus like here in the U.S. where it's more looked at like as entertainment based. People go to shows because they like. People go to shows, they love it about it, but it's not part of our culture in America.
Right. I mean, it seems like kayfabe is still very much alive in Mexico.
Yeah, definitely. Um, you know, it's unfortunate that it's not held to the same like level to a lot of people, lucha libre compared to American pro wrestling. But maybe it's because there's so many differences between the two.
Right.
But for me, like I've been lucky enough, like when I first started, like training, like I learned in school that were doing both. They were teaching both, and I came as as a child, like as a fan. as a pro wrestling fan. Like WWF was my thing, you know.
Right.
And then like getting more and more into the business and working out there, and you know, LA has a lot of lucha libre as well because
Yeah.
you know it's a huge like culture out here. So like be, becoming more involved in lucha libre and doing the shows, like I picked up on that style, and because like I'm a bad dude, you know, I could get mad heat. People don't like me, like and in lucha, like I said, like they want to kill you, and it's great. So like I really fell in love with lucha libre.
I mean, that being said, you know, you're obviously very immersed in the lucha libre culture. Have you ever thought about, or has it ever been discussed of you walking under a mask?
Um, Kinda. So I've done a few things like here and there, but never like a consistent masked character. I've worked under a mask a few times, and man, it's hard. Like props to the guys that can do it because it's hard to breathe. You get hot, you get blown up. Like it's wild. Um, I had somebody, Angel Blanco Jr., who's a legend in lucha. Like he told me, like you're a luchador, like you should come out with a mask, but maybe like I don't know if you've seen some people come out with it like just as their ring entrance, like as a presentation.
Yeah.
So like even like some of the luchadors that like lost their mask before, they'll come to the ring in the mask, but take it off before their match starts because they already lost their mask in the sport. They can't compete under it, but they'll come to the ring like as part of their entrance, part of their presentation with their mask. So he told me like you should have a mask for your ring entrance, like for your presentation, because you are a true luchador. I was like, that would be cool, and I think it would be something different, especially because I'm not, you know, like that Hispanic culture, you know, running
Right.
through my blood. So I think it'd be cool to have that lucha mask coming out and you know take it off, and it would work with the character. But I haven't really come to deciding or even talking about design, you know, anything yet.
I think that's a cool concept, and I think, you know, if you
Yeah,
want to design something, you know, the Sicilian Powerhouse, there's a lot of, you know, Sicilian influences you could take from that.
yeah. Like I love like the Godfather, like the you know the puppeteer kind of thing, or
Oh yeah.
you know, knows like that gun and the Sopranos, stuff like that. You know, forget about it. Those fingers, you know, you could put them everywhere.
Now, you've been you've traveled down to Mexico quite a few times now. That being said, we absolutely love food on the show. So, what are you eating down in Mexico?
Typically street food. I rather go to like the street food, like those kind of vendors versus like a restaurant. Um,
Okay.
because to me, like that's like as authentic as it gets. Like this, that street food is second to none. In LA, like we have culture out here, like the for street food, and I love it because there's variety. You know, some people like, oh, this person makes a really good whatever their specialty is, like carnitas taco, or make really good burritos or quesadillas or whatever it is. But that street food is definitely where it's at. Like when I go to Mexico, last time I was there, like we were there for 4 days, but there was only shows 2 days, so the other 2 days, you know, just walking around, just you know, enjoying ourselves, sightseeing. We had a ton of street food, and it was.
That sounds like my type of vacation. Just walk around looking for great tacos. You do the wrestling, I'll do the eating.
Right?
But I, you know, speaking of wrestling, speaking of everything that you've been speaking about, you've had more than a couple matches with TJ Perkins, a very respected Wrestling in the Los Angeles, California territory. So, could you tell us about your experiences wrestling with TJP?
Absolutely. TJ Perkins, like you said, like in LA and SoCal based, like he came out of here, and he's he's a legend. He's a vet in the business. He's been doing it for over 20 years, and at such a high level, this guy has, made it from the bottom to the top and everywhere in between. Traveled Mexico, he's traveled Japan, he's traveled the U.S. He's held championship in like almost every major company that he's been a part of, whether it was, um, WWE, the Cruiserweight Classic, the Cruiserweight Champion in TNA when he had the X Division title. CMLL, he's been a champion. New Japan, like 2-time IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions. Like, this guy's done it all. So the very first meeting in the ring, I would say I was really intimidated, just because his presence, his vast level of knowledge, everything he's done, everything he's been through, like he's top tier. He's one of the best in the world, and I truly believe that in every aspect of the saying. Uh, First man, P, like that's a step up,
What?
And we've worked. I mean, a little more than a handful of times, like 5, 6, 7 times in different types of matches. We've done triple threats, we've done 6-man, we've done 1-on-1, we worked each match. And every time I was like stepping up, stepping up, stepping up. And when you work with somebody that essentially better than you, you learn. You learn more about the business, you learn more about the little things, and TJP is one of those guys that makes all those little things count. His mind is at another level, because he has so much experience. So working with him has only helped me out so much. And my favorite match that I've done with him was probably the steel cage match. We worked in NTLL in Palm, California. At the time, I was the NTLL heavyweight champion. And previous to that, we did a 3-way. So this was the match, and it was a cage match. TJ Perkins, Vito Fratelli, 1-on-1 for the championship. And that was one of those moments for me. It was like, man, time to step up.
Right.
And that match was great. It was such a good match. Like the crowd was so invested in everything that we did. And I got the win thanks to Alexander Hammerstone, but still got the win in that match. So it was
the details don't matter
for sure.
You got the win.
Right, a win is a win, whether it's by an inch or a mile. You still won.
And I think technically it wasn't cheating because there's no disqualification in the cage match, so it was perfectly legal.
Exactly.
But I believe you wrestled TJP very recently as well. So you mentioned. Huh?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the first time that you wrestled him, there was somewhat of intimidation, because he has a big name. From that first time that you wrestled him to the very last time you wrestled him a couple months ago, what differences in progress did you see in yourself from that time to this time?
Huge. Can you hear me?
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. There's always going to be a little bit of that intimidation coming in. Guy. We've touched many times before. Time was like a one-on-one stipulation. It was a wrestling match, and it felt good to go out there with TJP and wrestle. Like he's known for his technical ability, and we went hold for hold, we went tit for tat, and that match was going, we worked well, everything was on point, so less intimidation, still a little bit of those nerves and that nervousness there.
Oh yeah. Right. Now I mentioned it earlier. You're the Dream Slam heavyweight champion and tag team champion. You're the VWE heavyweight and tag team champion. It's one thing to win one championship from a company, especially, the main one, but also
Uh-huh.
have the tag team championships as well. So, what does it kind of mean to you for these companies to believe in you and say, hey, don't just hold our heavyweight championship, hold our tag team championships as well?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about, right? For somebody to have that much faith in you, and empower you to have those positions. Sometimes it happens for other reasons. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's, hey, I need you to be the guy for right now because this person's leaving or this person's coming. Sometimes it's a business need.
Oh,
Yeah,
so can you continue with that part?
definitely. Yeah, so I mean, sometimes it's all about timing, like the right people for the job, having the right workers there, and the company having to make those business decisions based off of things like that. But it's definitely been an honor. It's always an honor to hold a championship for any company, let alone holding multiple championships in the same company and holding multiple championships at the same time. Like, it's crazy, like, because you're obligated to fulfill your duties as champion within those respected companies. And sometimes with the amount of shows, like it can be hard to juggle and hard to manage for like myself, because I'm obligated to defend this title, to defend that title. But it keeps me busy, at the same time.
Right. Well, also recently, you talked with Ultimate Guerrero, and you wrestled Atlantis Jr. and Ray Leon. Obviously, Ultimate is a big name in pro wrestling. So, what was it like to tag team with him?
Yeah, working with Ultimo Guerrero was great. RGR Lucha Libre is a company that's also based out of SoCal, but they do shows NorCal, they do SoCal, they run Vegas, um, they run shows in Mexico City as well. So they like to bring in a lot of those stars, a lot of the legends, and a lot of the top independent workers within Lucha Libre to do the shows. But working with Ultimo Guerrero was actually my first show back for the company in about 8 months. And to be able to work with him, work with Atlantis Jr., Ray Leon is such an amazing talent. Um, and to being able to main event that show, my first show back, it was an honor. And Ultimo Guerrero is somebody I actually always wanted to work with. Like, I remember watching him on TV in WCW, and then like all his work in CMLL, he's like, he's the man in Mexico. He's
Oh
the
yeah.
man. Um, so I got to work side by side with them, and I got to learn from him, and that's huge. Like, that's a huge learning tree to be under, and it was a great experience. I definitely want to face him. I would love to fight Ultimo Guerrero 1-on-1, like two big bad Rudos, like just going at it. Like, I think that would be a great fight. Um, but being able to work with him, it was great. It was awesome.
And I mean, considering how many legends and pro wrestling and lucha libre that have competed against and with, I think the chances are really good of that.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to do it. I'm gonna start pitching it to people. Let's make it happen. Ultimo Guerrero versus Vito Fratelli.
Well,
And if we can touch a little bit, RGR, Lucha Libre, they're doing a show next Sunday. It's going to be in Gardena, and they're bringing these pigs. They're 4 pigs. They're like extreme, like hardcore luchadors, and they wear a pig mask. The pig is their gimmick. This is their first time wrestling in the United States, and they've been making a big buzz independently over there in Mexico. They fought everybody, you know. So this is their first time coming to the United States, and I'm wrestling. It's myself, Shamu Jr., Hijo de Pirata Morgan, and Damien 666. Us 4 against the 4 pigs in the main event next Sunday. So that's gonna be a crazy match, and I'm looking forward to that one.
Well, I was going to save this question for a little later, but I feel like this is a great segue, so I'm going to ask it now. Can you tell us about wrestling Los Crazy Chickens? And did that match ever discourage you from eating at Los Pollo Loco?
Man, so at Lucha Vavoom, we worked the chickens twice. It was I think it was their Cinco de Mayo show, so it was like May 4th and May 5th last year, and I tagged with Chaz Aquaman, and we fought those chickens. The first night they got the best of us. The second night we brought a little surprise for them, so we were like, "Happy Cinco de Mayo!" We brought them basically Christmas presents, and inside those Christmas presents were buckets of KFC. And we beat the chickens with the chickens. I was throwing popcorn chicken in people's mouths in the audience. We were putting the chicken buckets on the chicken's head. It was great. But that's Lucha Vavoom, man. Like, Lucha Vavoom is one of the best shows out here, and it's fun. It's entertainment. Like, yeah, there's wrestling, but that's not the main thing. Like, they're there to entertain you.
And that's when wrestling's at its best, no?
Definitely.
Now, I mean, that being said, you're wrestling pigs, you're wrestling chickens, dragons, demons, vampires.
Yeah.
Well, what is there any interesting, animal that you'd like to wrestle next?
Man. Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you know Fishman, Hijo de Fishman.
I've heard of him, I believe, yes.
Yeah, he's a legend in lucha. I got to tag with him and Dr. Wagner Jr., the son of Dr. Wagner.
Yes.
We tagged together in RGR. We took on Canis Lupus, Ray Leon, and Jack Cartwheel. And that was great working with him. But he's like the same type of match I would have with him was like with Ultimo Guerrero. Like, he's a big dude as well. He likes to throw down. He likes to, throw chops. He likes to swing. And I think that would be another good one. So, yeah, I want to fight the Fishman next.
All right. That being said, you did wrestle Psychosis recently, no?
Unfortunately, Psychosis was not able to make it.
Oh, okay.
So it was supposed to be me and Psychosis at La Bulla. It's a festival they do like every year in LA, just to celebrate the culture, Mexican culture here in LA. Lucha Libre is a big part of that. And usually like every year they'll bring like a star to honor, one of the legends in lucha. And Psychosis was chosen this year, but due to, I believe it was like visa issues, travel issues, he wasn't able to make it.
Are they going to reschedule the match, or is it just up in the air as of right now?
Well, the festival happened. We wrestled. We had a show that day, but it wasn't. It's a one-off, so I don't think the match is going to get rescheduled.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate because Psychosis is also one of those guys that I remember watching on TV, and I love his work. He's definitely one of the best to ever do it. It's like I mean, he's amazing. So it would have been great to get in the ring with him. And I was super like looking forward to that match, but unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Well, maybe it will happen down the line.
Yeah.
Obviously, a scheduling error that did not work to your advantage. But there
Yeah.
was a scheduling error that did work to your advantage. Could you tell us about Wrestling Blue Demon?
Yeah. So, I've worked with Blue Demon Jr. probably maybe 5, 6, 7 times, something around that as well. The first time was in RGR Lucha Libre. We did like a 6-man tag. But the moment for me was Wrestling Blue Demon Jr. It was a one-on-one. It was for the heavyweight championship of the company, Promociones Cholo de Tijuana. It was in Tijuana at the Auditorio. The Auditorio is like a super famous arena in TJ, that they have all the big lucha shows at. There's about 4,000, 5,000 people there. So Blue Demon was scheduled to face, I believe it was Fishman or Rey Spectro for the championship. And this is like the inaugural championship of the company, their heavyweight title. And for whatever reason, they couldn't make it. So I walk up to the show, walk into the venue, and the promoter pulls me aside. Hey, Vito, we need to talk to you. We need to talk to you. I was like, hey, okay, cool. What's up? Everything okay? You know, and I was in like a third or fourth match, something like that, scheduled. And they're like, we're going to have you versus Blue Demon Jr. tonight. And I was like, no way. Like, one-on-one, I didn't believe it. Like, I thought they were ribbing me. I thought they were messing with me. Like, no, it's going to be you and Demon for the title. It's happening tonight. We need you to do it because somebody didn't show up. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, they're messing with me. They're totally messing with me, And I get to the back and I see like the call sheet and it has all the matches, where they're scheduled, where they're supposed to be at. And I saw Vito Fratelli versus Blue Demon Jr. for the championship. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, no way. This is not happening. This is not happening. And that whole match just went so well. Like, everything we did was it was money. Like, everything. The crowd was so into Demon and they hated me, and like I ripped his mask, I bloodied him up, I took him out into the crowd, I started hitting him with chairs, I hit him with the beer. I end up like smacking a beer out of a fan's hand, and then literally people just started throwing beer at me. I was getting hit in the face. They were throwing like whole cups of beer, just throwing them at me. They probably threw like 25, 30 beers at me. And then I had like staff like grabbing me, like, you need to get out of the audience now. Like, you're gonna start a riot. You need to get out of here. You need to get out of here. You need to get back to the ring. And that was crazy. Like, it was such a crazy moment. And just to be able to work with that legend, Blue Demon Jr., and the legacy, the name in a high profile match for a championship, like in front of 4,000, 5,000 people, like it was like such an out of body experience. Like, I felt like I was standing over the ring, like watching it all happen instead of like physically being there doing it. Like, it was wild.
Before I ask a follow-up question to that, I just have to say, for people to throw a beer in today's world when beer is like $20 at an arena, I admire that dedication.
Right?
I
But
just
like,
gave $20 for this beer, but I'm gonna throw it at this guy.
right? And it's like I smacked him with the beer first, boom, and it splashes into the audience, and they get pissed off because of that.
Right.
And then like some fan tries to give me another beer, and I smack it out of his hand, and people are like, "Oh hell no!" And they just started chucking.
But I mean, what does it mean to you that obviously there was you wasn't the original opponent, but when something did have to be rearranged, you were the guy they came to, and you were the guy that was trusted to go in the ring with Blue Demon Jr. and have that title match? What did that mean to you?
It meant a lot, and a lot came out of it because I got like a different kind of notoriety in Mexico, in Lucha Libre, in the scene, and especially in Tijuana, because I've done like, by that point I think I only did like 3 shows in TJ before that, and I done like, one was like whatever, the second one it was like me and Jack Cartwheel one-on-one, and we like stole the show and killed it, and the third one I did this giant show for that same promoter, the one that put me against Blue Demon. I ended up doing like we did like the semifinal in some tag team title match, and I was a fill-in there too. Like I was supposed to have a different match, and the same thing happened. But I got to work with like wrestling dynasties, like all these juniors, like La Parca, his 2 kids, LA Park Jr. and Io de LA Park. I got to work with them. I got to work with Trauma. I got to work with Io de Dos Caras, Rey Mysterio Herrero, like all this legacy in this match. And then there's me, who has like, my father didn't wrestle. Like I don't have a name in Mexico. So that was crazy. And I think because I pulled that off, he gave me this opportunity when he needed somebody to fill in. But like I said, because of that match, like my stock rose like big time. And Demon actually liked working with me, and he told the promoter, "Hey, we're doing this tour in Mexico, bring Fratelli back." So because of that one-on-one and knocking it out of the park, like I got to do a tour in Mexico City. That was like the first time I got to wrestle like in Mexico City, way down there, getting flown out and working other legendary arenas like San Juan Pantitlan. I got to work Arena Lopez Mateo. I got to work an arena in Guerrero, Mexico. Like I got to do all these cool things because we had a great match. That could have went the other way around, like with the like that pressure that's put on you, nervousness, intimidation, wrestling in front of such a big crowd, like in this legendary like Auditorio de Tijuana. I could have bombed. I could have went out there and shit the bed, so to speak. But we knocked it out of the park. We had a killer match, and a lot of people, like, I got respect from it because a lot of people were saying like that was one of Blue Demon's best matches because I made him fight for it. And for people to tell me that, I was like, no way. Like it's the other way around. You're like, no, like you made him look good. Like you made him fight for that match. And like, even though I lost and didn't win the championship, like I think I won in the end because I came out, higher than I was prior to that.
Oh yeah. Now, in the match, you did rip Blue Demon's mask, and when it's vets versus vets, it's they could do what they want, but like when you're a younger guy going up against a veteran, was that something that he recommended to you? You recommended to him? Because I feel like you just don't rip such an iconic luchador's mask, and it doesn't, there's not a conversation before or afterwards.
Right. So it's kind of something that happened. It was it's kind of strange. Like, although we talked prior, there wasn't a whole lot of communication. So we kind of just felt things and went with the flow. And to me, that's what made the match so much better. Cause like, I don't know if you, like, people say like magic happened, like magic happened in that match. And it kind of just, it was the natural progression, like the direction we were going. And to be able to do that, like you said, such an iconic mask, like dude's been wrestling 38 years. His father was wrestling 30 years prior. There's like almost 100 years of lineage behind it. So like it was crazy being able to do that, rip that mask and bloody him up and have this incredible match, and steal the show, and all these things just one on top of the other on top of the other. Like, yeah, but it just happened. Like it was natural. It happened in that match.
Interesting. Okay. Now, you was featured in a Mexican pro wrestling magazine. In a very well established one as well. What did that mean to you?
Man, that's one of those moments that, when I was first starting, I couldn't imagine anything like that. Like I couldn't imagine being featured in a magazine. Like, and that magazine, like it's like same thing, like 70 plus years. Boxy Lucha, like they've been around forever, and they've been consistent monthly magazine that covers the sport. Um, and they did a whole feature on me. Like I had 2 pages. It was in color, like and and it kind of just happened. Like I went to TJ for a show, right? I was booked for an event. I went to this museum that they have. It's called the Mulme. It's like a museum of lucha libre and different like collectibles and art and stuff. And it's this beautiful museum. It's 2 stories. They even have like a whole section of just like collectible toys, which is pretty cool. But like everybody's been there, and like there's like a thing. Like I signed this thing, and I was like luchador number 474 that signed the book, which was cool. But when I was there, the guy that was giving me the tour, he's like, "Hey, I have a reporter here for Boxy Lucha. They want to interview you."
Wow.
And we just did it like on the spot, and I had no idea. So it was cool. It was a cool experience. And when the magazine finally came out, like the guy from the museum, he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, your magazine came out. I'm gonna save 2 copies for you. Next time you come down to TJ, come pick one up." And when I first he sent me the pictures, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But holding the magazine and seeing it, like it was mind blowing. Like such a crazy experience. Like wow, they featured me in a magazine. That's cool.
In a world where everything is more or less digital, I
Uh-huh.
could imagine, having something in your hands in print is somewhat of a moment, no?
Definitely. It's satisfying. It's like this hard work is going somewhere. Like, and here's physical proof of it.
Right. Now, we've been talking about, obviously all of these incredible wrestlers, highly respected legends in the business. Can you tell us about your rivalry with Vintage Dragon?
Absolutely. Vintage Dragon is a SoCal guy. He's a vet. He's somebody that, when a little bit after I first broke in this time around, like he's somebody that I looked up to, that I highly respected. And I think at first, like it wasn't mutual. Like I respected him, but he's like, "Oh, who's this kid? Like, who's this? Oh, I don't like him. I don't like my name. Like I had a different name at the time. Oh, I don't like his name. It sounds stupid. Blah 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 blah. You know." But once we touched for the first time, once we worked a match together, like it was just good chemistry, like natural chemistry, and we had match after match. We wrestled everywhere, different promotions, and we've never had a bad match together. It's we were just so compatible the way we worked, and I love working with guys that they could do a little bit of everything, and that like small big aspect, like with somebody that could fly and do lucha libre, when somebody that could base and somebody that's strong and can catch and throw and toss these people around. Like I love that aspect of wrestling. But I like literally the first time we touched, like we had such a great match, and every time, I don't know, we probably wrestled 20 times in some way, shape, or form, maybe more. So Dragon has always been one of those guys that I looked up to, and we've never had a bad match together.
All right. I think it's time for that segment again. Vito Fratelli's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the road, sharing weird, crazy, and bizarre things that like to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Wow, weird, bizarre, and crazy. Road story. Maybe not weird, bizarre, crazy, but I got a funny one.
Okay, that works as well.
So I believe it's AM PM. So AM PM they have this machine that makes shakes, right?
Okay, yeah.
You pick the type of ice cream, you put your cup in there, and it makes a shake for you, like boom, like that. Probably about 2 years ago, we were traveling to Northern California and back, and the first time I saw it was like, I've never seen one of these before. What is this? It's a shake machine. Oh man, you guys want to get a shake? No, not right now. We'll do it after the match. You know, I was like, okay, but we got to stop back at the AMPM because that's the only place that has it. And you know, we all forget about it. We have a show. It's probably about 10 of us in this van, and we're driving back down, and we go to get gas. We go to AMPM, and I run in the door. I do a cartwheel through the automatic doors, like a big old cartwheel. And there's like 10 people inside the store, and they just look at me like, what? And then they all like clapped, like they all popped for my cartwheel. And I run to that shake machine, and I got 2 shakes because I wanted to try the flavors. That rest of the ride, we were just talking about that cartwheel through and how everybody like tripped out for a second and then popped from my cartwheel. But do not get 2 shakes on a long road trip.
Yes.
It does not sit well.
I would definitely advise against it as well. Alright.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about you being featured in the magazine. You were ranked in the Indie Movement Top 50. You were number 21. You were between Effie and Kid Bandit. What does that mean to you?
That was crazy, right? So the indie movement, they follow all independent wrestling. They help promote shows. You know, they do reviews. They have their online platform, and then, you know, all social media. So I think I first found them on Instagram. Like, oh, this is cool. So, you know, give them a follow. They give me a follow back. And they, you know, they're checking out my stuff. They're liking my stuff. They're commenting. And then this list comes out at the end of the year, like everybody does their you know, top 100, you know, PWI 500, all that stuff. And their top 50 indie movement comes out, and I had no idea that I would be featured on there. But it was cool. Like, it was cool to be part of one of those lists and part of one of these moments. And like you said, between two guys like Effie, who's done so much, you know, and is featured everywhere and has gone viral like 150 times. And then Kid Bandit, who's somebody I know personally. Like, we would train together before he debuted, you know, and I would train with him. He would train with me, you know, he would come to me for advice, stuff like that. Like, I've known him known Kid Bandit in a long time. So it was cool to be there because, like, Bandit's moment has been since he started. Like, he came off, Bandit came off high. Like, everything that Bandit got to do from AEW, you know, to everything on the indies, like, has been amazing the whole career. So it was cool to be right there in between them.
I imagine it's cool because obviously you had a hand in you obviously know Kid.
Yeah. So it was crazy. Something I just recently found. It's called WrestleNomics. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but they do like
it sounds familiar.
They do like research, analysis, pro wrestling. They cover anything from like power rankings, like weekly or monthly power rankings, to like viewership on shows and everything. So they do a little bit of everything. Okay. But I recently found out that the week of April 28th, the week of March 20th, January 30th, and January 16th, all of this year, I was featured in their top 50 for heavyweight rankings.
Wow.
And then also the year of 2020, I was featured in their top 500 rankings as well. And they're all like data driven, like how many matches you had, win-loss record, championships, like pure data versus like kayfabe stuff.
Right.
So it was cool to see that. I think like the highest ranking I got was like 31 or 23 or something like that. But out of 50, like 50 like heavyweight wrestlers and male wrestlers in the world, like it was crazy just to be on that.
And I mean, in this list, 21 of 50. That's
Right.
nothing to sneeze about.
Right. That's crazy.
And and real quick, shout out to Kid Panda, friend of the show. Haven't talked to him for a while, but it's so great to see what he's doing. But considering who was on that list, and Alex King, Becca, a lot of great big names in independent, and
Uh-huh.
to me, 21. And like you said, in that other list, you were dirty one. So
Yeah.
does that you kind of measure your progression?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a measurement. And just to like see myself being recognized at that level, like a national level, I guess you could say, has been crazy.
All right. Now, your four non-wrestling wrestlers that inspired you is Super Mario, The Godfather, The Tasmanian Devil, and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I think I don't know what it was. I think it was like a few years ago on Instagram or something. People were
Yes.
doing like where you get your inspiration from. So yeah, I put a little bit of everything, characters, character driven stuff. Maybe not as far as work rate goes, but I think like that Tasmanian Devil kind of made up for that part. But as far as like wrestlers go, there's so many wrestlers that I've always looked up to in different ways. Like my favorite of all time is Bret the Hitman Hart, and I don't work or wrestle anything like Bret Hart, not at all. But to me he's the greatest wrestler of all time. But there's so many people like big man wrestlers like Bam Bam Bigelow, Vader. Um, in the very beginning, like Taz was like, "Oh, I want to be just like Taz, like suplex machine." Like I learned all these suplexes and did like 20 suplexes every match because I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Um, so I think my style's definitely evolved since then. Like the power bomb's my thing, so different variations of a power bomb, like a last ride, a buckle bomb, a sit down power bomb, a standing power bomb, catching somebody from like a hurricane run, a head scissors, picking them back up and power bombing them, like top rope, second rope, like every way I could do it, I've done it. And that to me that was just like, okay, what's the biggest, baddest thing I could do, to someone. So seeing a lot of the greats that did the powerbomb, like a Sid Vicious, like a Kevin Nash, Mike Awesome, like they've all used that move in different ways, shapes, and forms, and just kind of making it my own. Kevin Owens, the pop-up powerbomb,
Right.
Taker, last ride, like all of them.
I will say when you do hit that power bomb, especially the sit down power bomb, it does look like you mortar the person you're giving it to.
Yeah.
Like there's that bounce.
Yep. They're hitting the ground, coming back up, and hitting the ground a second time.
Right. Now, you mentioned that you're a weightlifter. I always feel like there's a difference between working out and weightlifting. So, what do you personally get out of weightlifting? Is there significance
Yeah, I definitely am more like I lift for the strength and for the power. Like I'm not lifting to look cute. Like I'm not trying to get a six pack of abs or beautiful biceps. I'm lifting heavy. I do more like powerlifting style. Just heavy weight, heavy high weight. Pushing myself constantly doing that. And mainly staying like upper body with keeping my little bit of cardio in. But yeah, that weightlifting is what helps me be able to manhandle these guys the way I do. And like, hey, your move's a powerbomb. Can you do it to everybody? Yes, I can. Watch me.
Case in point, Juicy.
Juicy for now, right?
Right.
Alexander Hammerstone, like, bring them. I don't care how big they are. I'm gonna powerbomb them.
Now, you could say pass to this next question if you don't want to answer. I did notice that you don't have a front tooth. So how did you lose your front tooth?
Wrestling. It was a little bit of overtime. I think it originally cracked from wrestling, and then one time or another, I think I caught somebody like it was a dive out of all things. Like originally, what cracked it was a kick, like drop kicks to the face. But I caught somebody from a dive, and their their shoulder just went straight into my mouth, and it took the rest of that tooth out. That was just cracked.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, it does help with the aesthetic.
Right? It adds that extra bad to badass.
Exactly. That being said, I think it's time for the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Vito Fratelli movie soundtrack?
Wow. Maybe what's gonna fit the best, right? For Vito Fratelli movie soundtrack. Definitely my entrance music. It's the Godfather theme, but it's done in like the style of metal. So it's
Okay.
the Godfather meets metal. That's definitely that's your opener, that's your closer, that's your montage song. Like that's it for me. And then two other songs. I mostly listen to like metal, deathcore, stuff like that, heavier stuff, and I do listen to some hip hop as well. So specific songs, I don't know. Maybe throw something from Korn in there.
Okay.
Throw something from Darko US, a band that I listen to, and then maybe like a MGK song to round that out.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. Solid. Picks for sure. That being said, now that the soundtrack's out of the way, the script is written. Who plays Vito? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Wow. Okay. Um, Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Kevin Owens plays Vito Fratelli. I don't know if he could forget about it the same way, but we could definitely work the same way in the ring.
Alright. Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be three people that would be in your movie, that's in your life, and who would play them?
Ooh. Only three people?
I mean, you could say more if you'd like. I just limited
Okay.
it to three because it could be
Let's do for the movie aspect. Let's throw. I'm just gonna say my family, so my wife and kids, right? They're gonna be in it.
Okay.
They're gonna be out there supporting me at shows. They're gonna be in those those back scenes, talking about pain management, talking about getting up out of bed, putting my socks on, stuff like that. Terry Funk Beyond the Mat style. Blue Demon Jr. because he's been such a big part of my career.
Okay.
Jeez. And then maybe whew, I don't know. Promoters. You know, there's a handful of promoters that did a lot for me, that helped me out, that gave me those chances, those opportunities, that believed in me. You know, like RGR, Richard, NTLL, Joe, VWE, Lil Cholo. You know, throw some of those guys in there. You know, to be part of that movie as well would be a good aspect, and you know, maybe that backside of the story that people don't always see.
Okay. And do we have actors to play these people?
And it can't be themselves.
For Blue Demon, I'll accept Blue Demon to be Blue Demon because it's Blue Demon Jr.
Right? Ain't gonna tell them no.
Yeah. I'm not gonna tell that guy no. You can't play yourself.
We'll throw Little Cholo just for shits and giggles. Will be Danny Trejo. We'll just give him a bald cap.
Awesome.
Man, Richard for RGR. Let's see. What's his name? John Leguizamo.
Okay.
And let's see, Joe NTLL. I'm gonna say. Just because he's always talking crap and making fun of people, Seth Rogen. They look nothing alike, but I think it'd be fun.
Okay. I'm thinking this. All right.
I think it's gonna be a comedy now. Yeah, John Leguizamo and Seth Rogen and Danny Trejo.
Either way, it sounds like a fantastic movie.
All right.
And you could pre-order the tickets now. Now, onto a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
You know what? I might get a lot of heat for it, but I love pineapple pizza. My favorite is like a thin crust with pineapple and jalapenos.
All right. Vito Tony.
That's my go-to. It is what it is.
Hey, to some people, you're a hero. You just turn face, joke their horrible past. But to some people, you're like, no, this guy's dead to me.
Right? I just lost my hardcore fan base.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Pokemon?
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh man, I don't know. Ooh. I don't know too much about Pokemon, but I'm gonna go with Charizard.
Sweet. Alright.
I remember when I was a kid, like the shiny Charizard was like the most rarest card in the world.
Oh yeah. There was we've had stories about that card on the show before, actually.
Oh really?
Yes.
Nice.
Give Kylo Klein a look up.
Okay.
You'll not be disappointed with the story.
Nice. Love that guy.
Oh yeah, love Kylo Klein. We also love the late great Tracy Smothers. Do you
Nice.
know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
No.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. 'Cause a dog can't spell.
Nice.
Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive.
That's awesome.
Now, the weirdest question will be asked on a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
Yes. On one condition.
Yeah.
On two conditions.
Okay, two conditions.
One, the rock is big enough. And two, I go over.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not jumping to a rock.
Well, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And he did not win the match.
Oh, no.
Yes. The Rock
That's
was the
disappointing.
champion. Didn't want to put the guy over.
Wow. I hope his theme music was Dwayne Johnson's music. Like the 1998 Attitude, The Rock says, that one.
I prefer the 2003 version.
Okay.
Yeah. Ironically enough, I literally just had that conversation.
Nice.
The other day. It was like The Rock said, I don't like The Rock. The Rock says, I like what's just, it's straight guitar strumming.
Yeah, solo just, yeah.
Yeah. That gets me in the feels.
Nice.
Alright. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow. 5 years is a long time. 5 years. 5 years. I don't know. Some of my goals that I want to accomplish within a short amount of time are definitely like PWI Top 500.
Okay.
Wrestling in Japan, and winning a championship in Mexico. A belt, a championship belt. Because when I won the tournament, it was a trophy. So holding a championship belt that could be defended in Mexico, wrestling in Japan, and PWI 500 are some of my short-term immediate goals. I don't think it's going to take 5 years. So 5 years from now, who knows? I see that happening within the next year. 12 months max time period. But definitely some things that I want to do. 5 years, I'll be a little bit older, a little bit wiser. Maybe not the same athlete that I am at the moment. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll be better. Maybe I'll be at a higher level. But yeah, those are some definitely immediate goals. But 5 years is a long time.
I was gonna say that those goals could be honestly achieved in the next like 12 months. I mean, considering that PWI, the top 500 is coming out in maybe like a month, and you
Yeah,
have
in
like
September.
you have like 6 championships.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're doing fantastic things in Mexico right now, so I would not put it past you to win a championship in the next 12 months. Oh,
Yeah, that'd be great. If I can knock those out within the next month, I'm even better on time than I thought. Right?
Bring it back on. Let's talk new goals.
Right? But yeah, that PWI. So I'm gonna say it. Last year, I was very. I was upset. I was down bad about it when it came out, and I wasn't part of it because I know all the things that I accomplished in the year 2022, and for me, that year 2022 was, at the time I felt that's as high as it gets. Like that's my peak. I've worked everybody. I've worked everywhere. I've won championships. I've done a lot of things that a lot of people haven't got to do. I wrestled like 113 matches in that year. And if you look at like a cagematch.net, it's a database that just, you could look up basically anything. You could find wrestlers' records and who they wrestled, where they wrestled, the dates, everything.
Yeah.
If you look at that, look at the year 2022 on cagematch.net and just circulate or search like match quantity, right?
Right.
How many matches somebody's had. Like towards the end of the year, I was number 98 out of like 8,000 as far as the most matches had in the year. Like 8,000 wrestlers were in that database for their work done in the year, and I was number like 98 as far as match quantity. How many matches I had throughout the year. So that's pretty insane. Like that I worked that much and I worked that hard that whole year.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say to take it too personally because PWI has been a little wonky for maybe the last couple of years. I mean, John Moxley won a couple of years ago, and there was clearly one person that had a better year than John Moxley that year, and that was Adam Cole. Like just last year, I remember Kenny Omega was higher than Will Ospreay, and Kenny Omega only wrestled maybe 5 matches that year because he was injured for 9
Most
out
of the time.
12 months.
That's crazy.
And Will Ospreay was wrestling that whole time. So
yeah,
it's more of a. Sometimes it's a little bit more of a popularity contest rather than, hey, this guy's actually really good.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But regardless, like I want that like I said, that goal of mine. Like I need that. I've been looking forward to it, and I was let down when I found out nothing.
Well, like I said, we're in September, and it should be coming out like any day now. So when we do our Saturday show, when we read the list of all 500 names, I do cross my fingers that you are one of them.
Thank you, JJ.
Right. That being said, what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
Man, there's so many different matches that mean a lot to me for different reasons. Maybe like a few that come to mind. Like some of my favorites. Alexander Hammerstone.
Okay.
We had a match in NTLL for the NTLL Heavyweight Championship in March of this year. We went 1-on-1. It was Falls Count Anywhere. We had a phenomenal match. Like that's one that I definitely put on that pedestal. Me and Hammerstone 1-on-1 at NTLL. That's definitely, take your time out and go watch that match. Also from NTLL, me and TJ Perkins. This was last year in August. It was a steel cage match. Also one of my favorites. Match, my debut for the Crash in Tijuana. It was myself against Black Destiny, who's their secondary champion. And that lucha style, that crazy crowd, all that stuff I was talking about, you could see that in that match. But versus a different opponent. Black Destiny is such a great talent, who's well respected in TJ and what he does. He's definitely one of those guys that he should be out there way more. Like he's an amazing worker. But me and him had a phenomenal match. And that was my debut for the Crash, and the Crash is, it's a pretty big deal.
Can we find these matches on YouTube?
Yes. If I could throw a few more, it's Lucha Maniacs is the company. It's in Laredo, Texas. I had a 4-way. It was Vito Fratelli, Laredo Kid, Toxin, and Commander.
Okay.
And we had a great four-way match. Stole the show, match of the night. And that was my first time wrestling for that company, and they put me in the right hands and put me in such a great match, and I had the opportunity to work with these amazing talents, and we killed it. So that match means a lot to me. And then, of course, the Blue Demon Junior match in the Auditorio de Tijuana for that championship, the match we were talking about,
Yeah.
that was a turning point for me. And then the last one is something that also happened recently. I think it was June. It was versus Lindsay Dorado, and that was in RMW in Oxnard. And that was one of my favorite matches, and that just recently happened. And all of this is on YouTube.
All right. And I will find a couple of those matches and put the link to them in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that wants to see them, hasn't seen them, wants to re-see them after this interview.
Yes.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of
Uh-oh.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yes.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Bret Hart.
Worst wrestler.
Ooh. Worst wrestler of all time? Bastion Booger.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Bryan Danielson.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
DX.
The original?
Yeah.
Okay. Finish the sentence. K-Babe is...
Unfortunately dead.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Braun Strowman.
Squash is
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit. It has seeds, tomato logic.
Nice.
New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year. He really pushes himself to the wall. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I think 80% coverage.
80% coverage, 20% cheek.
Yes.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate it. Wrestling with Entertainment, you guys been great. JJ, much love to you, brother. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find all things Vito Fratelli on social media and your merchandise?
Check out Real Vito Fratelli on Instagram, Vito Fratelli on Facebook, Pro Wrestling Tees, Vito Fratelli. And if you got a problem with it, forget about it, huh?
And you don't have to forget about it. You don't have to type it into your Google machines. All of the links to all his social media and merchandise will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you're on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Fail on Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for these incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Okay, Vito, when I say wrestling, what? You say entertainment, okay?
Gotcha.
For our very special guest, Vito Fratelli, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.